What's up, world? This is your guy, Guitar K, and today we're going to be talking about how all struggling is not suffering. Because look, man, in today's society, we are known for making mountains out of molehills, man. Look, just because you're not getting your way, that's not suffering. That's not struggling. Just because the Wi-Fi not working, that's not struggling. That's not suffering. Just because you don't have everything you want, that's not struggling. That's not suffering, man. Look, we done got so used to being pampered and weak and I guess what we would call luxuries, having what you want. Look, man, life is all about just getting what you need, just being okay, just being reasonably happy. But in today's society, people look at it like if they're not ecstatic or super excited, if life is not just a big party all the time, then it's a struggle or it's suffering. Look, man, at the end of the day, there's nothing wrong with the struggle. Look, character is built in the struggle. Strength is built in the struggle. Why do you think so many of these rappers out here today claiming that they come from the struggle? Look, man, it's beautiful things made in the struggle. Look, man, diamonds gotta have that pressure to be made. Look, man, look, when you put that fire to things, it comes out beautiful. It strips away all the impurities, man. Look, when that phoenix come up out of that fire, she's a beautiful thing. We gotta stop trying to avoid the struggle. Look, man, you can't get muscles without pushing weight. Look, nothing good comes from laziness. Nothing good comes from always seeking the easy way, always looking for convenience. Look, man, we got to stop running away from the struggle. And at the end of the day, we done got so used to chasing pleasure that we don't even understand what struggling means. We don't even understand what suffering is. You remember when we was young, we would run in the house and be like, Grandma, I'm starving. And she would be like, starving? Boy, you just ate this morning. You don't know what starving is. Look, man, I done lost a lot of people that's close to me. I done lost both my grandmothers, both my grandfathers. I done lost my father. I done lost 2 girlfriends while we were in relationships together at the time. I done lost so many friends and family. Look, too much to count. And I would be the type of person that would be like, God, why are you doing this to me? But at some point in life, I came to realize that he wasn't doing nothing to me. Nothing wasn't happening to me. I was doing a pity party for the pain and suffering of my loved ones that I was losing. I never really even went through no suffering, to tell you the truth. The worst thing that ever happened to me was I sprained my ankle playing basketball before. You know, a lot of the stuff that happened to me, I put on myself. I let the pain and suffering of people that was close to me affect me so bad that it had me paralyzed. It had me not wanting to move on. Had me running to drugs. Had me running to alcohol. But at the end of the day, man, we can't let what happened on the outside of us paralyze us and for us to call it that we're suffering. Look, man, do you really know what suffering is? And like I said, struggling is not a bad thing. The struggle makes you strong. The struggle builds character. Look, man, you know, so many people, when they get successful, they say, I wouldn't change nothing that happened to me because everything that happened to me made me the person that I am today. And I know that when you're in the middle of the struggle, it's sometimes hard to look at it like that, but you got to look at it like that. There's nothing wrong with the struggle. Be able to embrace the struggle. On the movie The Hangover, the little Chinese guy, he got one of my favorite lines. Because you know the guy sitting up there telling him all the stuff that happened to him. Oh man, this happened to me. Oh man, they did this happen to me. And he looking at him like, yeah. But did you die? That's one of my favorite statements, man. Look, God, I believe that God will not put nothing on us that we can't handle. And I truly believe that. And I believe that when he finally does put that thing on us that we can't handle, we will die and we will be gone. But until that day comes, you got to push on, man. Everything that happens to you happens for a reason. Find strength in it. Find the silver lining in it. Look for the positive parts in it. Like I said, there's nothing wrong with the struggle. They say that the trees that live in the most wind-filled areas where it's always blowing, it's always storms. The roots grow deep, and those are the strongest trees. And I believe that people are the same way. People that go through things are usually the most resilient. Those are the most strongest people. And a lot of times when people not used to going through something, soon as the boat rocks a little, they jump in ship. You remember back in the day, they said when they had that real big stock market crash, those people that were so used to being privileged and rich, soon as they lost their money, they were jumping out of windows. Come on, man. Those of us that know we done been through some things, we know we're not jumping out no windows just because we done lost our money, because we're resilient. We know that material things, we can get that again. That is a great example of how you can't consider struggling to be suffering. A lot of times suffering is when somebody else is putting something on you, something else is oppressing you. And a lot of times we allow that to happen because God always provides us a way out. It's just sometimes we don't choose that way. I'm talking about when people be in abusive relationships. I'm talking about when people be at jobs where the job is taking advantage of you. We look at it like, I got to sit here and endure this. If that's what you do, more power to you. But at the end of the day, you don't have to sit through that. You don't. You have the power to move on, to break the chain, to let yourself free. But like I said, man, struggling, it does build character. It does make you stronger. When you're sitting around being lazy, you're sitting around on the couch, watching what everybody else doing, eating Doritos, watching TV all the time, man. You think that's a luxury lifestyle, but at the end of the day, it's making it worse for you. One of the fruits of the Spirit is long suffering. It is the ability to endure, the ability to push through. Is long suffering. It's good for your spirit to go through things. And when the Bible talks about long suffering, it's talking about to refrain from all the things that look so pleasurable in the world. Kanye West got a song called Addiction, and the chorus goes like this: why everything that's supposed to be bad make me feel so good? Everything they told me not to is exactly what I would. Man, I tried to stop, man. I tried the best I could, but look, and I'm talking about like overeating, eating all the sweets, talking about drugs, talking about drinking, talking about sex. It's like all the things that make us feel so good at the end of the day turn out to not be the best things for us. But at the end of the day, when you refrain from those things, and I know people say, oh, that's easier said than done, and it's hard to refrain from those things. And some people say when you're not doing those things, you're suffering. But that's what long suffering is. But when you do refrain from those things, it doesn't give you the instant gratification, but in the long run, it makes your life better. It's better to not have diabetes. It's not better to be in a bunch of toxic relationships. It's not better to have alcohol addiction and drug addiction and to lose all your possessions and go to prison. And when you refrain from the things in the short term, it gives you long-term success. That's what long suffering does for you. It doesn't feel so good in the moment, but they say what makes you laugh now makes you cry later. You know, they say the same thing, make you laugh, make you cry. You got to learn to go through the struggle to get to the promised land. You know what I'm saying? They say when you choose all the easy things now, you make it hard on yourself later. But when you do the hard things now, you make it easier on yourself, man. They say a man that loves to sleep will soon fall victim to poverty. A man that sits and folds his hands will soon never receive a harvest. Look, man, it's nothing wrong with pleasure. But when that's all you seeking and you running away from all the struggling and you're only looking for pleasure, you're going to make your life harder than what it needs to be. I read a book called 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. And I went to the copy machine, y'all. Look, I know I went old school on it, but at the time I was in a place where I couldn't have my phone. So I had to go to the copy machine. I made a copy of the page. I'm going to read y'all one of my favorite passages from that book. It says, innocent pleasures in moderation can provide relaxation for the body and mind and can foster other relationships. But pleasure per se offers no deep, lasting satisfaction or sense of fulfillment. The pleasure-centered person, too soon bored with each succeeding level of fun, constantly cries for more and more. So the next new pleasure has to be bigger and bigger, more exciting, with a bigger high, A person in this state becomes almost entirely narcissistic, interpreting all of life in terms of the pleasure it provides to the self in the here or now. Too many vacations that last too long, too many movies, too much TV, too much video game playing, too much undisciplined leisure time in which a person continually takes the course of least resistance gradually wastes his life. It ensures that a person's capacity stays dormant, that their talents remain undeveloped, and that the mind and spirit becomes lethargic, and that the heart is unfulfilled. See, when you're doing those things all the time, of course you're going to think, soon as the boat rocks a little bit, you're automatically struggling. You're automatically suffering. All struggling is not suffering. It's just that we are so expecting to get our way all the time. We're expecting for everything to go our way. We just want what we want when we want it. Instant gratification. Look, man, that's not the way that life works. And the sooner that we accept that, the better off we will be. It's nothing wrong with struggling, man. Struggling makes you a better person. Long suffering is a fruit of the spirit. You will be a stronger person mentally, physically, and spiritually when you learn to accept the struggle. Stop making mountains out of molehills. Accept life, all of it, the good, the bad, and the ugly, because it's all part of life. All struggling is not suffering. Learn to embrace the struggle, and you will go far, young grasshopper. You will go far. This is your guy, Guitar K. Be more